Hey everybody, my Scribian is here. Another great episode that I'm prepared for all my followers. I'm very excited about this episode. Those of you guys are following me, you guys know my channel is mainly about financial services, and my goal is to bring value, education, information to all those individuals, families that they have a goal to bring their finances to the next level, learn more about it. And not only I give this information away, but I love bringing special guests to my podcast that I know they can bring more value with their experience and what they do in their finances and in the industry. Today is one of these days, and the individual I'm about to introduce is a great individual. I've been working with him in the insurance field, and besides the insurance, he became very heavily involved in the real estate, and he's going to explain what he does specifically. But I'm very excited to introduce this individual because not only he has a great background in finances, but he's coming from a sport background, specifically basketball. And we all know people who've been in sports, they become great business people. So let me introduce you guys to my guest, Aragad Abramian. Aragad, how are you?
Hey man, doing absolutely outstanding.
Awesome,
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Of course. How you been? How's your day going?
Oh man, it's fantastic. It's beautiful out there.
Cool. we know each other from the insurance field, and you know when I met you first time, I always told myself this guy has great mindset. Whatever he does, he's gonna succeed. And recently, I see that you're doing very well in the real estate. Tell me a little bit about how you started the finance business, and now you're running part of a company that does a lot of things in real estate wholesaling. A little bit introduce yourself, Aragad.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Seeing that in me. I started off in college. It started off with stocks, foreign currencies. Day trading.
Yeah.
From my teammates telling me, "Hey,
do this, do that.
We're gonna give you this much money, trade for us," and it led me to like, "Hey, maybe I should take this more serious, get my licenses."
Yes.
And that's where the first step came in of me getting, becoming a financial service professional. So getting my licenses, and the first step was to understand.
How old were you when you got your license?
I was 23, 24.
Got it. Yeah.
Right.
When you're talking, it reminds me of my background. I'm like, it's very similar. I started young and I was into a lot of things, but I decided to stick to the finance. Okay, continue. So what happened then?
Yeah, I mean, I learned I wanted to get into different trades, learn about different, bonds, mutual funds, securities. And I got really attracted to index funds with products with life insurance because it was protected. So I just stuck with that. And
that's when you joined Lions.
No, actually, I was with a different group, and all my mentors and everyone that I was with, they moved out of state. They took their office to another place, and I was kind of, left alone. So that's
and then
when
you found Lions.
Exactly, So once I found Lions, it was kind of like a perfect timing situation where, everything aligned, my goals and everything. So, and then I got into it and started doing a lot of cold calls in the
Welcome to the sales.
Yeah. And that's what I really initially wanted to do.
Let me ask you this, Aragad. Do you think everyone can be a salesman?
It is a skill. It is a skill, but I believe you could do anything you put your mind to it.
Yeah.
But it comes from willpower, right?
Got it.
You can't really force a vegetarian to eat meat when they haven't ate meat for 30 years. It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
you could force them to eat it, you
Yeah.
could influence them to do it, but at the end of the day, are they going to like it? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with sales, or any type of business. When you put someone in there and they don't have the willpower, they're not growing a passion into it.
Yeah.
It's going to be really tough sticking into it 10 years,
Yeah.
20 years into it. So
Yeah. Now, I mentioned earlier, it's so interesting. Anyone that I met that has a sport background, most of the time they become very good if they decided to go into a business. Now, you told me a little bit about your background. From young age, 5, 6, you start playing basketball. Why basketball, and how sport impacted your business?
that's a good question, man. I chose basketball because it was actually the hardest thing for me at that time.
Usually Armenians are not good in basketball. That's why,
Yeah, I mean, we're actually growing and becoming like one of the best in the country, at least like top 40, top 25. I'm not sure where we're ranked now, but
Yeah.
we're definitely getting up there. But at the time, I was really good in soccer, football. I was really good athlete, runner, and I found basketball very challenging, and it just kept me coming back to it. And then I just wanted to be really good. Told my parents I want to play basketball. They tried to put me on a team. There was no teams at that age.
Yeah.
Where I was born in Iran, so
Got it.
at that time there wasn't any 4-year-old, 5-year-old teams or any skill development.
Yeah.
So by the time we came to America, they were able to put me into basketball. And
I believe you went all the way to professional in playing in Europe, huh?
yes.
Nice.
So I got the opportunity. I was blessed with opportunities with, just staying persistent with it, never giving up, going out of my way. And, I got the opportunity to, show myself, get paid to do what I love to do.
Nice. Now, because of sport, how much that impacts your business? Is there stuff that you took from sports and you kind of applied in a business?
Of course, man.
Like what?
Almost everything.
Almost everything.
Every aspect of a sport, it's a great analogy to business.
Yeah.
Like, for example, a coach, having a great coach, having a great mentor that could change the whole game and everything in sports and in business.
Yeah.
So, getting a good coach, either it's a private coach where they work on fundamental skills, or a team coach, that understands your role and puts you in good positions.
Yeah.
And with business, it's the same thing.
Same
You got to have a
concept.
great mentor, great coach,
Yeah.
and you have to realize what the difference is as well.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think a coach is the same thing as a mentor,
Yeah.
but it's not. A mentor is going to be there for the rest of your life with personal stuff too, not just business.
Yeah. Good points. Good points. And I believe everyone should have a mentor. Definitely, anyone that you study, whether it's sports or business, people who have a lifetime mentors, they always get better. They always do. Now, let's go back to real estate. In 2022, you went more involved in real estate, specifically wholesaling. And tell me a little bit about Blu Sky. I know you have an executive position there. What do you guys do specifically?
Yeah, so the way I got involved in real estate was when I was playing professionally, I would come back and do the financial services as well as property management. So I had like a 9 to 5 when I would come back to the States, and that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with real estate. I was mingling around with investors, managing their properties, and then one thing led to another where I saw an ad about investing, and I wasn't sure what it was, but to find out it was real estate investing, fix and flipping. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is more in my field. So I looked more into it, and then I realized, there's more into fix and flipping and more exit strategies in real estate investing than multi-units, commercial buildings. There's so many different strategies in real estate. So so that's when
So in 2002, you kind of went on your own and just building the company, huh?
Well, I was kind of forced into, I was kind of forced into doing it my own.
Yeah.
At first, I really did want to join a big organization and, do it from there, learn from them. But, tables turned and I wasn't able to, execute on that and kind of forced myself way into doing it on my own, learning it on my own and building a team that way too.
Yeah. Now, what kind of customers you can service? Like what do you do specifically? You find like bad condition houses and you represent to realtors, investors. Little bit elaborate on that.
Yeah, so I mean we're A to Z real estate solutions company. So primarily our exit strategy is wholesaling because we do such a vice market. Like we have a whole California market.
Yeah.
And we help out individuals that are distressed, either financially or their property or, something in their life that's causing them to get out of their property.
Yes.
And we usually, come in with a solution, either that's us acquiring the property and doing the job ourselves.
Flipping it,
or putting it into our portfolio as a long-term or short-term rental. Or we, give it to one of our partners that's going to do a better job, and that comes down to where the area is. If it's somewhere in Central California, probably going to give it to one of our partners.
Yeah.
They have their crew there. They'll do a better job than us. We have our crew over here in the San Fernando Valley area. So
if anyone is a realtor, they can get hold of you and just say, hey, I'm looking up to this price range, and you can find those properties for them?
If someone's a realtor, we would like them to send us deals.
Okay. But what if they're a realtor/investor? Can they, because I know you send me some deals, wholesaling, because I specifically told you that if there's a price range this area, I do flips on the side. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. So you will see some of our deals as well. So we do work with a lot of realtors and that are investors themselves, and we know their criteria. They know how we work. And we get the job done and get into a transaction with them.
Yeah.
So those are called like our VIP buyers, right?
Got it.
We know exactly what they want. Like, for example, for you, like I know where you want it, where you're looking at, what price range, what type of exit you're looking at, and it comes across my desk.
You just send it.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, I want a little bit talk about mindset. I already asked you a question, can anyone be in sales? Let's say someone decided to be in sales. What kind of mindset it requires at the beginning, at least, for them to take off? Or what you applied in your business?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in the beginning, you got to be coachable. You got to be coachable. You got to be a sponge. You got to learn. You got to learn the formulas, the systems,
the product,
the scripts, the objections you're gonna get. I think that's very important. I think the first 90 days you should just study and role play. I think every day you should role play.
You mentioned earlier about calling people. What's the average day you made phone calls, like cold calls? How many a day?
I personally average about 300.
Yeah.
And that's from anywhere from like 2 to I would say 2 hours of cold calling.
Yeah.
And then that's just straight cold calling.
Yeah.
It's just I have a list of
people
that are.
Is it like a cold market or like
cold market?
Cold
yeah,
market.
They don't know I'm calling them.
Got it.
And so there's that list, and then there is also a warm list as well that our acquisition associates call as well, and that's where our appointment setters have set up the appointment already. They know they're getting a call.
Got it. They're kind of filtering the deal in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're just qualifying the client.
Yeah. You know why I ask you, Aragad, about cold calling? Because there's a lot of salespeople I work with. In my business, I have a lot of people who they're in sales. And when I tell them, hey, you want to succeed in sales, you got to do 30, 40, 50, 100, 150 calls a day. They look at me, they're like, what do you mean? Every day? I'm like, yeah, every day. And people think that making 5, 10 phone calls a day, you're going to succeed in sales. It's like you're lying to yourself. It's not going to happen. You have to rank those numbers up consistently.
I mean, 10 to 15 calls a day, they better be hot leads.
Yeah.
They better be hot leads. They better have gone through the
filtering process.
Filtering process, the system.
Yeah.
And you're just going to close them.
Yeah.
So.
But pure cold call, I think 100 calls a day. Yeah. I remember when I was new in real estate, there was a sign in my desk. It says, if you don't make 100 calls a day, go home. Mm-hmm. And when I study and I look, all the top producers, they were in the office like 9 a.m., 8 a.m., making phone calls until the lunch. And then after lunch, coming back, finishing their pending files, and then evening time from like 5 p.m., 6 p.m. until 8, going back to the phone calls. And when I look at these people, they made a lot of money. So
yeah, that's the formula. It's outreach, right?
Yeah.
There's different marketing strategies, and I think one of the best and fun ways for me, at least, is cold calling. Some people hate it. Those that do hate it, you better get a good marketing strategy going. Yeah. So that means it's inbound leads.
Yeah, inbound.
So cold calling is an outbound outreach type of marketing.
Yeah.
Now, if you don't like that, if you can't do that in sales, then you better figure out a good inbound system.
Like maybe focus on social media or maybe door to door. There's different strategies.
No, so door to door would be like an outreach again.
Yeah, outreach.
But like, for example, like advertising, like radio advertising, TV advertising, magazines, social media advertising. The client is gonna see the ad and call you.
That's inbound.
That's inbound. So you want to have inbound leads and outbound leads. But if you got to figure out what you're good at.
Yeah. Now, a couple of questions randomly. Mm-hmm. Any book that help you to grow in sales, in business?
In business?
Yeah. Any books that you...
Pop in my mind, huh? You know what's funny? I'll give you a funny story about books. I used to never read until in college. I was in really neat, like... I was a bad kid growing up, like I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I was influenced. I wasn't a bad kid. I was just influenced in the wrong way.
Yeah.
A lot of kids around me stole. So I remember there was a library where, I was gonna go and steal books and sell it.
Wow.
And it came to a point where I picked one of the first books where I was going to steal.
Yeah.
And it was The Richest Man in Babylon.
I read that book.
Yeah. So I didn't steal it. I read it. It made me more money than I was going to, do. So I didn't do that wrong. And that kind of changed my life in a different direction. And I learned a lot from that book. Just from money management to just the rules of money and it kind of grew my love from reading because I used to never read. I used to be against it, whatever. Yeah. But, that kind of turned my eye and it went from that book to Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
I love Napoleon Hill's books.
Yeah. They're awesome.
I think one of my favorite books by him is Outwitting the Devil.
Yeah.
If
it's a very thick book.
Outwitting the Devil, there's a lot of good in there. So I learned a lot from that. And a business book, nothing's really popping out in my mind. Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. That was a good business book.
Yeah.
There's a few other ones, but that's just kind of like what's on my mind. Yeah.
Cool. Now we're coming to the end of the podcast. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. Any words would you say to people who are very young? Let's say they're in 18, 20s. There are a few questions I like asking the same questions to different guests that I have. So one is, what would you advise to young people that they're about to choose their career? That's one. And second question, if you can answer both at the same time, what advice you'll give yourself with the knowledge you have today when you were 18? So
Yeah, that's a tough one because everyone has different, goals and ambition, towards life. I think if you are trying to be wealthy and if like money is one of your goals, I would say go into money. Like look. It doesn't matter about your passion.
Yeah.
Like if you think selling insurance is gonna get you wealthy, then go full into it.
Yeah.
If you think tech is gonna do that, then go full into it.
Yeah.
Because I really do believe you will grow passion into it if you have that willpower. I'm a very big advocate of school. School, like going to college. A lot of people will say, "Oh, don't skip school." It's so many successful dropouts. But I'm really against that. Actually, I think school will really open your eyes and grow.
You'll have a different point of view, huh?
Yeah, different point of view, and also the people that you meet in school, in college, like they're gonna be your lifelong friends, partners, all that. So I was one of those guys where basketball kind of pushed me towards education.
Yeah.
And education is very important. I think education is number one when it comes down to it. Teach yourself a lot of different skills.
Yeah.
That's how you're gonna bring value to the marketplace, right? A lot of people are trying to find different. Like when you're young, you want to try a lot of different stuff, and to get quick stuff, get quick money stuff is not gonna give you skills.
Yeah.
So you want to build skills, and
Stick to one thing, huh?
I wouldn't say stick to one thing, but gain skills.
Got it.
Like big skills, like marketing, sales.
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah.
So like skills that they're gonna go into multiple avenues.
Got it.
Because you could always pivot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
As a good investor, you got to learn the different exit strategies so you could pivot.
Yeah.
And that comes within your skills.
Yeah. What about the second question? What would you advise younger version of yourself?
Younger version of myself, I would advise him to be around more successful people.
Why is that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the closest people to you, they influence you and they shape who you are. And I would advise him to go to more networking events, less parties, more networking events.
Good one.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, Aragad, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. If anyone wants to get hold of you, please, again, one more time, tell the audience how they can get hold of you.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow me at, Aragad on Instagram. I think that's the best way. I'm also on LinkedIn. Best way to, communicate. You could DM me there. And then,
cool.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Sounds good. Well, thank you again for your time. And maybe in the future we can do more podcasts and talk about more detail about wholesaling, some strategies or some life examples you can share with us.
Definitely. I'd love to.
Any other words you want to say before I close it?
Thank you. I mean, no, I appreciate it. Until next time.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Take care.
Well, thank you everyone for watching this podcast. I'm sure some of you guys are going to pick up some valuable information. But always remember, information is good. But if you don't apply it, it's no good. So whatever you learn, make sure you apply it to create results in your life. My is Caribbean. Subscribe to the channel, share it. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye-bye.